Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are diving into a really fascinating economic puzzle. How do you optimize your workforce to totally maximize your output without accidentally tipping your entire business into complete chaos? Well, it's all about mastering something called the laws of returns. And honestly, it's a journey that literally every growing business has to navigate. Okay, let's dive into this. It's a question that seems, perfectly logical on the surface. If you want to make more products, shouldn't you just keep hiring more workers? I mean, surely an endless stream of employees guarantees endless growth, right? Well, as we're about to see, economics has a pretty surprising answer to that central mystery.
But before we solve that mystery, we kind of need to establish the rules of our economic game here. We are strictly looking at what economists call the short run. So in the short run, your physical factory space, your plant size, and your heavy machinery, they're completely fixed. You can't just magically build a new warehouse overnight, right? The only thing you can easily change, which is your variable factor, is the number of workers you hire. Sure, in the long run, you could totally expand the building, but for today's explainer, we are locked in.
Here's our quick agenda for today. We'll start with the production setup, then move into stage 1, increasing returns. Check out the constant returns phase, dive into diminishing and negative returns, and finally, finish up by finding the sweet spot.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the production setup.
To really understand what's happening on our hypothetical factory floor, we've got to track two key things. The first is total product, or TP, and that's exactly what it sounds like, simply the total amount of goods your factory produces. But the second metric, that is our true hero here. It's marginal product, or MP. Marginal product tells us exactly what each new additional worker brings to the table. So if you hire just one more person, how much does the total output change? That specific change, that's your marginal product.
Now, let's look at the absolute core concept of this explainer. Returns to a factor, and specifically, the three possibilities of returns to a factor. Think of these as three sequential, totally inevitable stages of a growing business operating in a fixed space. Let's see what happens as we start hiring up our team.
Moving right along to Section 2, Stage 1, increasing returns.
During this first stage, known as increasing returns to a factor, we see something pretty amazing happening. Every single time you hire a new worker, they add more to the total output than the worker you hired right before them. Your marginal product is actively rising. So for example, if worker number 2 added 5 units of output, worker number 3 might come in and add 7 units. It's a really exciting time.
So the absolutely crucial point here is why this actually happens. Well, imagine a giant factory with just one single worker. Most of those expensive machines are just sitting there totally idle because, obviously, one person can't run them all. But by adding a few more workers, you achieve a fuller utilization of those fixed factors. Suddenly, your machines aren't just collecting dust anymore. Plus, once you have a team, you can introduce a division of labor. People get to specialize in what they do best according to their skill, which makes the whole operation incredibly efficient.
Which brings us to Section 3, the constant returns phase.
Now, at a certain point, that incredible acceleration does stop, and you hit constant returns to a factor. This is the moment when the marginal product basically flatlines. But don't worry, it's not a bad thing. Your factory is just running like absolute clockwork. Every additional worker you hire is adding the exact same amount of output as the previous one. So your marginal product is flat or constant. It's stable, it's predictable, and it's highly, highly efficient.
But things don't stay perfect forever. Let's look at Section 4. Diminishing and negative returns.
Welcome to diminishing returns to a factor. Here, unfortunately, the magic starts to fade. Your marginal product actually falls. Every new worker adds less and less additional output to the pile. And eventually, if you just stubbornly keep hiring, the marginal product can even become negative, which means a brand new hire literally causes your overall total product to drop. Crazy, right?
And this brilliantly illustrates why things go so wrong. Think of it as the crowded kitchen effect. You see, every factory has an optimum proportion, right? Let's say it's one machine for every 5 workers. Well, when you hire that 6th worker, you completely disturb that delicate balance. Suddenly, you've got overcrowding. Workers literally don't have enough tools or equipment to do their jobs, they start getting in each other's way, and on top of all that, management problems pop up. With way too many people, workers might start shifting responsibility around, and effective management becomes just nearly impossible.
Just take a look at the graph here, specifically down in that lower panel. Try to follow that curve mapping our marginal product. Do you see where it hits its absolute peak right there at point M? That spot is called the point of inflection. Everything up to point M, That was our golden era of increasing returns. But the exact moment we pass that peak, you can see the curve start sloping downwards. That is the precise moment diminishing returns set in. It literally maps our entire business narrative right onto these economic curves.
All right, on to our final stretch, Section 5, Finding the Sweet Spot.
Let's walk through this side-by-side summary just to lock it all in. In Stage 1, your total product is shooting up at an increasing rate, and that's because your marginal product is actively rising to its maximum. Then, in Stage 2, total product is absolutely still growing, but at a diminishing rate, because marginal product is slowly decreasing towards zero. And finally, in Stage 3, things get bad. Total product actually drops because marginal product has officially gone into the negative.
So here is the ultimate puzzle for you today. As a rational business owner looking at all this data, when should you actually stop hiring? I mean, which of these three stages is the true sweet spot for your factory?
Well, if we just use a quick process of elimination, the answer becomes incredibly clear. First off, you would never, ever stop in Stage 1. If you stop there, you're just leaving money and rising productivity sitting right on the table. And obviously, you would absolutely never want to operate in Stage 3. In fact, our source material literally calls Stage 3 economic nonsense and economic absurdity, mostly because you are paying brand new workers just to decrease your total output. So by default, a rational producer will always choose to land happily right in Stage 2. It is simply the most profitable and logical stage to operate in.
It really is fascinating how these invisible economic laws dictate the rhythm of literally every business around us. So next time you walk into a super crowded coffee shop, or maybe you see a packed construction site where people are just bumping into each other left and right, ask yourself, are they operating in the sweet spot of Stage 2? Or have they just hired their way straight into the point of economic absurdity? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today. And hey, keep looking out for those economic curves in the real world.